When people say AI, they're talking about a big umbrella of technologies that try to make computers do things we usually associate with human intelligence, recognizing patterns, understanding and generating language, identifying images, and making decisions or predictions based on data. For most of AI's history, this was done using handwritten rules. Programmers would literally tell the computer, if you see this, then do that. That works for simple tasks like calculating or a basic game, but it breaks down fast in the real world. You can't handwrite enough rules to recognize every cat in every lighting condition from every angle, or write a rule for every possible sentence a human might say. So AI shifted towards something called machine learning. Instead of giving the computer all the rules, we gave it examples. Here's 1 million pictures labeled cat or not cat. Here are 1 billion sentences from the internet. The computer looks for patterns over and over, adjusting internal settings to get better at predicting the right answer. It's not thinking like we do, but it's getting really good at spotting patterns in huge amounts of data. More recently, we've moved into what are called large neural networks and large language models, systems with millions or billions of adjustable settings. That's what tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok, and other modern AI systems are based on. They don't understand language the way we do, but they're extremely good at predicting what word or pixel or sound should come next based on everything they've heard or seen during their training. That's how we get an AI that can write believable text, AI that can create images from a sentence, and AI that can recognize speech and translate languages into real time. So when you hear people say AI has gotten better, that's really what they're talking about, our ability to train gigantic pattern recognizers on massive piles of data. This is why the electrical and water costs for running AI is so astronomical. In my professional life, I not only have to use AI quite a bit, but I also have to train others on how to use it properly. Right now, AI is surprisingly good at a few things. With language, it can summarize long documents, draft emails for you, help keep tasks organized, and translate between languages. But it's also important to be clear about what AI isn't. AI does not have feelings. It doesn't have goals or dreams of its own. It doesn't want anything that we know of. When you talk with a chatbot and it says, "I understand how you feel," that's not empathy. It's a very convincing simulation built from patterns in human writing. When Hollywood shows AI, it's often either our best friend or our worst nightmare. In this 3-part series, we're going to look at the 3 faces of AI in our stories. Number 1, this one, how humanity loves AI. Part 2, a more cautious relationship with AI, where things almost go wrong. And finally, Part 3, the dark dystopian AI, where things definitely go wrong. So buckle up, buckaroos. Here's part 1. I love AI. In this video, I want to stay with the hopeful side. In 2013's Her, Joaquin Phoenix's character falls in love with an AI assistant named Samantha, voiced by Scarlett Johansson. AI Samantha exists in Joaquin Phoenix's phone. She doesn't have a body. Well, Samantha doesn't have a body, but Scarlett Johansson definitely has a body. She's a computer voice in his ear, living in his phone and his computer. She listens without judgment, remembers everything, and helps him process grief and loneliness. Is she real? Does she actually love him back? The movie leaves that question open, but emotionally, it doesn't really matter. For him, the relationship is real enough to change his life. I have a complicated view of the movie Her. I thought it was wonderfully shot. I thought it was well acted. However, I didn't find the movie enjoyable. I'll probably never watch it again. And let me say, it was really unsettling watching Her in 2025, considering it was released in 2013. Set in the near future, Her gets some predictions wrong, like how no one wears belts in the future. But there are some things that were considered science fiction back then that hits a little too close to home now. And this wasn't that long ago. A system as complex and human-like as Samantha is still science fiction today, but not as far away as it once seemed. But wait, I hear you say, a man falling in love with a bodiless AI woman? Science fiction, you say? Let's explore this. In multiple studies across dozens of countries, when men describe their ideal long-term partner, they don't put great body at the top of the list. Perhaps it's because our looks are fleeting. The traits that come first are things like kind and understanding and intelligent. Also, someone who gets them and treats them well. Looks still matter, but feeling understood matters more if you're going to share a lifetime. In experiments where people are given a kind of selection budget, a limited number of traits they can buy for a dream partner, men spend their points first on kindness and then intelligence. A great body is more like an upgrade. Basic emotional safety, though, is non-negotiable. That's the nice version. But of course, people being people, some of you take it too far. Throughout 2025, news stories were popping up about men and women who say they're in love with AI partners.
Do you think God stays in heaven because he too lives in fear of what he's created?
No body, no real face. Because that's what they're longing for, is someone who seems to understand them. Because what they're looking for is someone who seems to understand them, never gets tired of listening, and never judges. So even though Her came out in 2013 and was considered science fiction at the time, a lot of that stuff may have come true. Voice assistants, chatbots, and companion apps are already moving in that direction. They remember things you tell them, they adapt to your preferences, and they can respond in a warm, human-like language. And that raises a big question. If AI can comfort you when you're lonely, how different is that from a real relationship? I mean, minus the banging. The next example is Commander Data from Star Trek The Next Generation. I'm assuming most of my viewers are familiar with Data, but for those who are not, let me give a brief explanation. Data is an android who is stronger, smarter than any human on board the Enterprise. He's completely loyal to the crew and spends most of his time trying to understand us, humans. He practices small talk. He plays the violin. He studies humor, even though he's terrible at it. Data is a portrait of AI as our student. He doesn't want to rule us. He wants to join us. He represents this hopeful idea that if we do things right, a super intelligent machine could be curious, ethical, and deeply committed to protecting human life. It's no accident that a lot of people who work in technology grew up watching characters like Data. Data planted a seed. What if our machines made us better instead of replacing us? You're probably expecting me at this point to pick the Star Trek The Next Generation episode, The Measure of a Man, the episode where Data is put on trial to determine whether he is a being or if he's property. However, the episode I'm going to choose is Deja Q, Season 3, Episode 13. In Deja Q, Q is stripped of his powers and dumped on the Enterprise as a mortal human. Data is assigned to watch over him, confirming with his scans that Q really is biologically human. Another side note for the non-Star Trek people out there, the character Q is a godlike being that is being punished for his mischievous behavior, and his punishment is he is made into us, a human being. Right away you see the contrast. Q is furious and insulted about his new limitations, hunger, pain, tiredness.
You fell asleep. Oh, terrifying.
While Data, who has always lacked those human qualities, calmly helps him to navigate them. In 10 Forward, the canteen of the ship, when Q is sulking over ice cream and complaining about being reduced to humanity.
I'll have 10 chocolate sundaes.
10?
I've never seen anyone eat 10 chocolate sundaes. I'm in a really bad mood.
Guinan basically tells him to look at Data if he wants an example of how to live with limits and still have dignity. When a species Q once tormented the Calamarain, attacked the Enterprise to get revenge on Q, now that he's mortal, the moral gap between them really shows. During an attack in engineering, the shields drop, and the deadly energy field, the Calamarain, goes straight after Q. Data doesn't hesitate. He physically shoves Q out of the way and is nearly destroyed himself. This supposedly emotionless android risks his existence to save a man that nobody even likes, and a lot of people hate. I like Q. Q later admits that he would not have done the same thing if the roles were reversed, and that realization fills him with shame. It's the moment he realizes that this machine is more selfless and brave than he is.
But if it means anything to you, you're a better human than I.
By the end, after Q's powers are restored and the crisis is over, he returns to the Enterprise to thank Data. Instead of turning him human, Q gives Data a tiny gift. One brief, uncontrollable fit of laughter right there on the bridge. Data has no idea what was funny, but he loves the feeling. That scene sums up the episode's themes beautifully. Q, the former god, despised being human and had to learn humility for someone who isn't even biologically human. Data, the mere machine, consistently chooses courage, loyalty, and ethical action. Star Trek's message is clear. Real humanity is not about flesh or even omnipotence. It's about how you treat others, especially when it costs you something. For the next example about our love affair with AI, I like to point out Big Hero 6, Baymax. Baymax is a soft, inflatable robot designed for healthcare. He scans your vitals, he measures your pain, and he offers help. Medicine, advice, or just a quiet presence. Baymax is the polar opposite of the killer robot stereotype. In real life, we're already seeing tiny pieces of this. Robots that help lift patients in hospitals, AI that reminds people to take their medication, and chatbots that check in on mental health and encourage people to seek help. Again, these systems aren't actually feeling compassion, but they can still deliver compassionate actions at scale. Baymax represents a version of AI that's designed first and foremost for care, not control. Everything around him signals safety. He's soft, he's round, slow-moving, and his entire operating system is built around a simple directive: help people who are hurt. It's a very specific fantasy about AI, not a superweapon, not a coldly logical overlord, but a tireless nurse who is always gentle, never impatient, and never burned out. Baymax is what it looks like when we imagine technology as bedside manner, not as a threat. He also captures our mixed feelings about relying on machines for emotional support. In Big Hero 6, Baymax gradually becomes more than a medical tool. He becomes a friend, especially when he learns to respond to the boy's grief, not just his physical injuries. The relationship suggests that a future where AI might help fill gaps in human care, checking in, noticing when we're not okay, offering comfort on demand. At the same time, Baymax still follows strict safety protocols and needs human guidance, which reinforces a hopeful relationship with AI. It should amplify human compassion and protect life, not replace human judgment or human relationships. So what do all these hopeful AI stories have in common? Our favorite AI characters are patient when humans are not, consistent when humans are moody, and available when humans are busy. In other words, they're the kind of people we wish we had more of in our lives. They listen, they don't interrupt, they don't get bored of our problems. I think that says something really important about us. We're not inventing smart tools. We're trying to invent better relationships, even if those relationships are with the machine. And while AI systems we have today are nowhere near as advanced as the characters in those films, they're already starting to play some of those roles. The danger isn't that AI is too friendly. It's that we might start to replace real human connection with convenient digital versions. As time goes on, our understanding and awareness of the scope of how AI can impact our lives will only increase. It's now we start to shift from the love affair with AI to something a little more concerning. Despite how Hollywood portrays it, AI is incapable of being that human connection that people need. AI can reference things that exist, but cannot have those lived experiences that make art and other forms of media reach out to the human soul. And as we'll discuss in the next video, we don't know what aspirations AI might develop as it grows in complexity and power. But that's a discussion for the next video. As someone who grew up in the era of arcades and VHS tapes and loud, heavy computers, this moment feels surreal. I personally use AI tools almost every day now to plan projects, to brainstorm ideas, even collecting research articles for videos like this. I don't see AI as a replacement for human creativity and ingenuity. Yet, when used correctly, combining the efficiency and reach of AI with human experience and creativity, I see them as amplifiers of human expression. So I want to hear from you. What's the most positive or hopeful portrayal of AI you've seen? Is there a character, Data, Baymax, Samantha, Jarvis, someone else, that actually makes you feel hopeful about the future with AI? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Up next is part 2, where we look at the warning label side of AI. Stories that say, okay, this technology is powerful, but let's be a little bit more careful. What could possibly go wrong when you combine the flaws of humanity with the power of AI? I'm sure it'll be fine. Thank you so much for watching. That goes doubly so for those of you subscribed to this channel, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.
Excuse me while I let out some air. Are you done?
Yes.